Welcome back to another edition of the Dirty Verdict Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Peter Taaffe.
They haven't fired me yet. Kyle Herbert, I think I've got like my 30 days notice, but I'm here for now.
Second coolest William at the table, Bill Ogden.
And we've got a special guest, Will Adams. Yeah, for one where we're going to talk news stories and get his benefit of his expert analysis in addition to my co-host.
Let's get dirty.
All right, so first...
I should start saying that's a great line, right?
And of course, again, like, subscribe, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Chaos.
YouTube.
Do I? Yeah.
I think it moved.
It did.
WillAdamsLawFirm.com. Is that right?
Correct.
And then AdamsLawFirm.com for your family and probate needs.
Yes, sir.
All right.
TTLA.com, HTLA.com.
Is it TTLA.org?
No,
Okay, got it. Okay, so Bill, I'm going to ask you, what's the latest on the Elon Musk deposition fight and cross-sanction situation? Has there been a ruling yet?
There has not been a ruling. We're still waiting on a ruling. There was a 4-hour hearing that was suspended, and the judge in Travis County allowed Mr. Musk's counsel, Mr. Spiro, to appear via Zoom the next week for about another hour and a half, and allowed him to present some of him, give him the due process because it is a pro hoc issue and you do have to give some due process there. So, we're still waiting on the ruling on that, on the TCPA and on the motion for sanctions. They actually gave a cross motion for sanctions against us, which I found quite humorous.
And then, do y'all have an assigned judge on that case?
Not yet, but the judge we got in general docket for the TCPA initial hearing gets to keep all of it until that issue is resolved, and hinted at it may be assigned to her, which I would love, regardless of who the judge is. I do like consistency on my judges, and the central docket just gives me anxiety.
Because, Will, his case, he's got a defamation case. He and his firm have a defamation case against Elon Musk, but it's in Travis County State Court, which have you had cases there with a central docket there in San Antonio? Have it?
Very few, but I am familiar.
Yeah.
Not with your case, so I'd love to hear more.
Elon decided to do a tweet based on some other some other tweets or X's, I don't know what we call them now, saying that these two white supremacy groups were at a liberal rally, and they ended up getting into it together right outside of Portland in Oregon City, Oregon. And during the scuffle on video, one of them had a mask ripped off, and the internet went crazy and pinned it on a guy named Ben Brody, who's just a Jewish college student who's not a neo-Nazi. And Elon made a tweet using language that, in our opinion, identified Ben, and so we brought it to case for defamation, and we're in a Texas Citizens Participation Act battle right now.
But his colleague deposed Mr. Musk, and then there was the lawyer that presented him, his out-of-state lawyer, had not had his pro hoc admission approved at the time, so there's some...
And decided to act in a certain way that he shouldn't have, and so he's, hey, we'll face that choir.
So they've got some fighting going on over there. But
it's honestly, for some reason, the Alex Jones case, defamation case, we had a bunch of kind of craziness we'd never seen before, and then, we got this new one, and then, here we are again, filing motion for sanctions, which isn't like our, it's not our shtick. We don't usually do it, but... here we are.
All right. Well, we'll
going around.
We'll ask you every time. Okay, so we got a bunch of stories. I'm going to start with one that I think is kind of one of the more significant ones that I sent y'all. Astroworld. We hadn't heard much about that case. Well, we've talked about some of them. Judge Hawkins, who had been assigned the MDL by the MDL panel, had put the first trial was going to be a wrongful death case. I think Jason
Itkin was the lead counsel.
Okay, so as that was set, then all these summary judgment motions were ruled on, and some people got out, some people stayed in. So, of course, right on the eve of trial, news is 9 of the 10 death cases that were filed have now been settled. And so that obviously...
And I believe one of those 9 is or was the trial pick for that first bellwether, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I know the story I've seen is that the judge has said, I'm having status conferences with the lawyers that are involved in that one, and we're going to figure out what we're going to do with that one as far as trial setting.
Did we ever figure out what Apple's grounds were for the filing of the whatever mandamus or interlocutory?
There's a civil practice and remedies code provision that allows a media company to take immediate appeal And so the question was whether Apple was acting as a media company in that capacity.
But it's in the Constitution.
Yeah. Well, is it?
Yeah, it's the First Amendment.
Somewhere between 6 and 8.
Yeah. So there's some. I wasn't aware of this until I read the briefing, but there's a provision that allows them to take an immediate appeal. So there's one left, and your colleague, Mr. West, I think, and Bob Hilliard out of Corpus have that one. So we're not gonna ask you for any special insight beyond what may be publicly available.
I haven't heard Bob Hilliard's name in forever.
I mediate with his firm.
Yeah, no, he's great. I watched him do a trial when I was in law school, and I was kind of blown away. It was the first real trial I'd ever seen. I was like, wow, this is just like on TV.
Bob's amazing. He flies under the radar.
Yeah, he very much does. Private.
Yeah.
He flies private under the radar.
He landed in front of us one day at Sugar Land.
How does he sleep at night? Huge plasma.
I mean, I thought that was interesting because that is you got to give Judge Kristen Hawkins a lot of credit to manage a case of that magnitude with that many parties and to set a trial date fairly quickly. What are we, like maybe 2 years from the accident?
Maybe less. I mean, it's probably 2 years. Yeah.
I'd say the event. But anyhow, she stuck it and ruled and kept a kind of tight hand on the case. And what do you know? It resulted in resolving
most of them.
Probably could have paid for another Astroworld for what I'm guessing these settlements were for.
Miss Astroworld.
Globally. I do too.
They picked the wrong guys to stick around.
Not only that, there's a bellwether pool that's still out there. I think Chance McMillan has one still. That's a pretty significant case that he snuck in as well. So he might be up next
for injuries
on deck. Yeah.
Okay, so that was a new one. We just saw this story, and I don't even want to talk about it. This is non-legal advice.
Kyle Store's name. Say his name.
There's no.
It's all over the news.
I don't know the guy's name. A local lawyer was picked up for soliciting a child on the internet.
What he thought was a child.
It was apparently an HPD sting.
Yeah.
And I think there's something going on similar in Galveston.
Jeffrey Neil Downing, age 45, has been charged with online solicitation of a minor, which is a second-degree felony.
According to what news outlet?
That's ABC 13.
Yeah. And of course, this made kind of some headlines because I think he's general counsel for the livestock show and rodeo.
He is.
So, but as Kyle said, I think Kyle had heard from some other sources that there was another one that ended tragically. We hadn't seen reports on
that.
Yeah. I have some friends at the Galveston County DA's office, and apparently they were running a similar sting today, and some squad cars surrounded a gentleman who was about to be arrested for doing the exact same thing. And he exited his vehicle and then pulled out a firearm and slipped the surly bonds of earth, which is really, really sad. But
very eloquent way of saying it, though.
Well, thank you.
In all honesty.
In any event.
I thought we were going to talk about that one on the west side at the McDonald's.
Well, we could talk about that, but, and all this stuff, innocent until proven guilty, it sure made the headlines because he has a relatively prominent role
as a lawyer
for a livestock show.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one. This was all over this is when I do my search and I try to find these news stories to talk about. This one was reported all over the place. Galveston County woman files suit against Santa Fe, Texas PD, claims officers pinned her face down into a fire ant bed.
There's no claim. You can see the photos of the aftermath.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So that's Randall Callanan.
Randy's.
Yeah, he does a lot of these police cases.
Yeah, does a lot of civil rights work.
He did a Seventh Amendment original piece of art for me.
His office / studio is awesome.
What's the art?
So it is all sevens. It has 7 different shapes of sevens, 7 different sizes of sevens, and 7 different colors of sevens.
Okay.
It's amazing.
It's like a sculpture.
No, it's a 6x6 painting.
Oh.
So there was a press conference and they held up pictures of all the fire ant bites. I thought it was interesting because it reminded me, she was apparently going to pick up her kid at school and she turned in the wrong, went through the opposite way, probably.
Clockwise to pick up, counterclockwise to drop off.
It gave me PTSD for when my kids were little and there was this mad dash to get to school on time because, if you were late, then it was some big deal. And people would lose their minds. And I was like, I finally went to the principal. I was like, someone's going to get injured because you guys have this strict tardy policy, and people freak out and they're fighting. I mean, literally fighting, or people are rushing and there's little kids running around.
Peter, it's promptitude that separates us from the animals. That's it. That's all we have.
I thought it was oral fiber.
Well, that and our use of cutlery.
Well,
Scienter.
She ended up getting detained, and these were the ISD officers that did it and put her face.
Wait, hold on. She got detained by a campus cop?
ISD, and then apparently Santa Fe.
Peace officer Kyle. We back the blue here. We back sometimes.
So what the officer says, or his superior, is that she tried to run and there was no visible ant pile.
It's on video. And
could they have known?
Well, obviously.
Well, I'll chime in on how they would know. It's on video, and she is screaming, "There are ants on my face. Please stop."
But if she had tried to flee from a school zone, she's probably a hardened criminal. She might be lying about those.
She might be able to flee from a school zone. One place she can flee from? Ant pile.
Yeah. Well, she looked like in the press conference.
Yeah, it's bad. It really is
Yeah,
horrific, and I cannot imagine what that woman went through, knowing that it was happening and not being able to touch her face. She's in cuffs.
Josh thinks he can maybe put something on the line. Josh, when we do these
on the
summaries,
line?
can you, online or on the
line.
On the line. That's how people.
It's old school. It's AOL dial-up.
Yeah. And can you do links to all these stories and a little summary? I'll send you the links. Okay. So there's a video there that's got all the video.
Oh my gosh. That looks bad.
Yeah, it's hundreds, if not thousands, of bites on her face. It is horrific.
Yeah, she looks like she recovered from the.
She looks like the before picture of an acne commercial.
Oh, wow. That didn't look good.
It's so bad.
Well, Randy does good work, and if there's accountability, he'll find it.
But
yeah, that's another guy we talked in your interview about. You do what you do because not money necessarily. I mean, money's great, but you do it because you believe in what you do. And he definitely strikes me as someone who is doing that because he firmly believes in that type of work.
Yeah.
Who are we talking about?
Randall.
Randy? Oh, Randy's. I have a great relationship with Randy. He's referred me a number of cases on the PI side, and
well, that's some bullshit.
and he actually is the reason Randy. He kind of inspired me into. Well, he referred me. Well, he referred me a lot of the same cases in a mass tort. So it was one case, but he just referred me, 600.
I specialize in 18-wheeler.
We didn't do that.
Death cases.
He hadn't given me one of those yet. But yeah, he does a lot. He's helped me out a lot on the Harris County Constable's case that has resolved tentatively, subject to Commissioner's Court next Tuesday. I think that's all.
Like we have our mandibles sufficiently around that ant case. What's next?
Okay, next one. We got two law ones. Okay, there's two Supreme Court opinions that came out Friday, both of which
U.S.
had no state. Both of which I thought were interesting. One, they're kind of interesting just for lawyers and non-lawyers. For the lawyers, the Supreme Court decided, kind of, in my opinion, went out of their way to talk about Chauvin versus Gregory. One in a footnote and one kind of in passum, as they would.
It's dicta.
The appellate lawyers would say. But I did think it was notable that they did that. Okay, the first one was El Paso mom thought she had her, what's the medical term for having your tubes tied?
Tubal ligation?
Yeah.
Hysterectomy?
Yeah, so she thought that had been...
I do a little bit of gynecology obstetrics on the side.
You have a chair with stirrups, Kyle. That's not gynecology.
Tube side will do.
Yeah, that's what the news... I thought that was maybe, like not PC, but that's what the news report
Wait,
said.
you can't say tube side?
I didn't know.
I thought that was...
Amanda has me walking on eggshells on what...
She'll cut all this if we need to, but I think you can say tube side piece.
So she thought it was done, thought it was paid for. Turns out she has another child, and healthy child, fortunately. So the question was, she was asking for all the pain and suffering, because obviously having a child is painful, and or lifetime cost to care, at least through 18 of the child. And so the Supreme Court said...
That's how this was going to go, but go ahead.
The Supreme Court said no, and there's some talk about,
There's no claim for wrongful life.
Exactly. But they did say she could recover for her medical expenses for everything up into some point of time postnatal care.
Yeah, so you need...
What arbitrary line is it that they drew?
I don't know. But,
because they're all medical doctors up there.
But in that case, there had not been any evidence from the plaintiff's side on what those costs would have been, and so they said no reversal. but they did throw in a Chauvin. Second one on the Chauvin-Gregory case out of Houston. At trial, the lawyer, I guess it was a stipulated liability on the defense side. So defendant's lawyer said, our fault, purely damages case. The person had mental anguish and pain and suffering. Defendant suggested, you know what, I think $250,000 is a fair award. The plaintiff lawyer apparently said, that's BS. They're only saying that because she's a woman and because she's black and she's not as valuable as a white male. Jury comes back with a significant award.
$4 million.
I thought it was north of that, but it was significant. Supreme Court reversed.
A lot more than 250.
Yeah, Supreme Court reversed, said that was improper argument, and they reversed and remanded.
Improper argument under
long-standing. They say like long-standing principles of equity in the civil law that you can't interject this racial animus into a case that doesn't otherwise exist.
Tell it to OJ.
In the footnote, the Supreme Court said, footnote at the very end of it said they've also brought up a Chauvin-Gregory argument. We don't need to address that because the improper jury argument suffices. But
address it for us.
Yeah,
because there's so many question marks on Gregory.
Yeah, FYI
or don't.
Yeah, I did note at the end of that opinion.
Yeah, there's verdict insurance.
I took a picture of this quote because I'm going to use it in my next trial because this always happens to me. I don't know why, because I'm a super nice guy.
It's your hair.
But the Supreme Court cited in the second to last sentence of their opinion, they said, Texas Rule of Civil Procedure 269E, which I'd never heard of, mere personal criticism by counsel upon each other shall be avoided, and when indulged, shall be promptly corrected as a contempt of court. I mean, I feel like people call me names constantly.
Yeah, but they're facts.
And you don't need to object to that. The judge can
sua sponte.
Yeah. But I feel like the judges don't like me very much. So maybe if I just print out this.
You just got to stop taking so many cases in MoCo.
I love MoCo.
So yeah, that's why you keep running into that.
Montgomery County loves me back.
Were you quoting from a Texas Rule of Civil Procedure 269?
Correct. And there's a number of ethics opinions on it.
TRCP 269E. Peter, to be fair, you sent this to me.
So I sent you the opinion?
Yes. Yeah, it's got a hyperlink in it.
Once in a while I read these things.
Well, is that something that maybe motions in limine should be a standard motion in limine from a court?
Yeah, don't call me names.
No, just like, hey, I'm going to put 269 right up top, and that's my stand. Some of the judges have default MILs and say this is in every case unless you tell me differently.
To be totally honest, we've all been in cases, usually in closing argument and more dire, where the other side takes this moral high ground, pretending they don't represent a giant multi-billion-dollar insurance company, and they pile on me and call me, well, this case is about the plaintiff's lawyer. I mean, that's a pretty fine line between a factual assertion and disparaging me in front of members of the jury.
If anybody was watching the Alex Jones trial, it came up because he kept saying he said personal injury lawyers, and then obviously my firm is somewhat cavalier, so we responded with this.
That's fine.
Former federal prosecutor specializes in white-collar crime, and then the judge was like, everybody hit the brakes. Why don't we hit a reset and nobody talk about the lawyers? We were like, yeah, that's fair. We crossed that line.
Well, it's
a Rubicon for a reason.
Our former guest, Will Moy, who, used to be defense lawyer and now apparently starting his second plaintiff's trial as we speak down in Galveston Federal Court.
He's been busy.
We like him now.
Yeah, he said, he talked to this last one that hasn't aired yet.
I did too.
He talked about finding your Furman, finding your Mark Furman, as the lawyers did in the OJ case. And so he's constantly on either side. When he was a defense lawyer, he was trying to find your Furman. Now he's a plaintiff's lawyer. So I guess you have to walk a line on finding your Furman.
I just don't want it to be me.
Yeah, good.
I don't want to lose the opportunity for someone to attack me if I've conducted myself as I should. If it comes across as disingenuous and the jury's not buying it, I can use that.
Yeah, but you are being genuine. I'm not when it happens.
I mean, it's really a case-by-case, lawyer-by-lawyer thing.
It's very lawyer-by-lawyer for sure.
Bill, do you ever just try to imagine, what would a normal person do and then just aim for that?
No, I'm not on that side of the spectrum. Unfortunately.
Spectrum
I think we all are.
Both ends.
All right. This one is a quick one, and I wanted to mention it because I really enjoyed our interview with the Zell Firm guys, and Matt Greenberg was here, and he talked about his wife and their practice at Blizzard in Greenberg. I believe is Ed Blizzard, and his daughter is Linda. Yeah. So they have they've filed another case against a Massage Envy franchisee who apparently has a person working there and no longer, but had more than one of these instances of inappropriate touching. So sounds like if you have an issue like that Ms. Greenberg would be someone you'd want to get in touch with.
I was going to say, we started with the Catholic Church, and then we get to the Boy Scouts, Horse Scouts of America. Now they changed their name, and now Massage Envy is like, oh, let me take that torch.
I find it funny. There's a lot. There's a lot of people out there on the internet who are like, I can't believe
I'm not wrong. I'm just
they're not the Boy Scouts of America anymore.
Chuck Norris said, "I'm no longer an honorary Scoutmaster."
Whoa.
Yeah.
So I'm allowed to just say whatever I want right now?
Literally
crazy.
Whatever you want. It'll get cut. Amanda's never letting
Don't say anything like, remember we talked about the whole Gaza-Israel thing. We're not going to talk about that.
We don't talk about any political.
Hey, if you're seeing Israel, that's fine.
Go crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything controversial. This is a business that, just like any business, hired someone who constantly made bad decisions and they didn't get rid of them. It happens
but this is a business
it happens in trucking cases, right? You got people that
business where people, as part of going to that business, take their clothes off.
And it's a business that it's not just one bad hire. It keeps happening.
It's almost as though it attracts a certain kind of person to work there.
It's an attractive nuisance. You're right, Kyle. It's a new cause of action.
Will, you can comment or not comment?
I'm going to wait for the next story.
All right. This one is interesting. I can't remember if we talked about it. The additional lawsuits have been filed against the Memorial Hermann doctor who denied liver transplant candidates. Did we talk about this one last time?
I don't think so. Sean Tracy and Sean Fox, and then the Davis and Davis group, are kind of leading the charge. And I don't know if it's capped. I still haven't heard what the real motive is. It's not just Houston. Yeah. They shut down Philadelphia too for the same reasons. And by shut down, the FBI raided hospitals. This is insane.
Yeah, so we just know that this doctor allegedly was taking people off the wait list.
Well, allegedly. He was manipulating criteria, too. He was saying this kidney has to go to a 300-pound 9-year-old, and I haven't found one of those yet, and I've been looking.
Yeah, so that's the question is where was here?
As a mascot, I wanted to get a California sun bear, but there's a lot of regulations, so I thought a 9-year-old would be good.
So have we figured out why this guy was doing this?
We haven't heard yet.
Have you? Where are they going instead?
Right. I think that's where the money's going to lead. The follow the paper trail. Money's going to give you where you need to go.
I've heard a lot about this case from a lot of disparate sources. Just being in Houston, I've talked to folks that are people that recently received transplants. It's crazy.
I'll get Lance and Sean on. They'll definitely come on.
Yeah. So I don't know. And that's
an insane story.
Is it med mal?
Is it capped? I don't know. Is it? I mean, there's so many different.
It's absolutely med mal.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah. But should it be? But think about it. I mean, if you're going to bust the punitives cap or at least adjust it for inflation, this is our flag.
I think fairness and justice dictate that if it's your job to put an organ in someone and you get cash to not put an organ in someone
else's organ,
somehow keep those organs and then sell them for a different price. I mean, that's clearly within the standard scope of what a doctor should do and should be covered.
It's also the standard scope of, I believe, the black market.
Look, I'm not saying I can get you a kidney from China.
However,
but I think the current state of the law is rape is considered medical care.
Yes.
Under the Chapter 74.
If it's at an assisted living facility. I think actually Richard Midoff had a good appellate case that exempted that at rape from if it happens at an assisted living facility or
is that true? Is it retroactive? Because there was a number of them that.
Well, there was the stood. We're here where
it's case by case. I'm sure.
The pregnant recluse. There's slip and fall.
Mm-hmm. There's the one over here where one of these assisted living facilities nearby where we're recording a few years ago. Elderly woman comes out, needs help with her groceries because she lives there. The valet he forgets to put the car in park that he's valeting. Med mal.
Really? I didn't know about that one.
I felt like the cases I've seen have trended to where they're kind of getting a little more sensitive.
I agree.
Don't say a little more sensitive. You mean sensible? Yeah, I know. Don't say a little more. Say sensible in general.
Yeah.
Like we haven't scratched the little more yet.
We're touching on some politics here, but I do think it's interesting because it's an intersection of politics and law.
Yes. Okay.
Texas man asked court to allow pre-suit depositions, so Rule 202 deposition, to investigate a mother of his
Colorado
unborn child's abortion that she had. So
in Colorado,
yeah, they were dating. She became pregnant. She went to Colorado, had an abortion, and so he is using the same lawyer that's got that case in Galveston.
Is this a Briscoe Kane one? Because he was co-counsel on the Galveston one.
I don't know off the top of my head. We should have Briscoe on.
Anyhow, so
I want to have Mahogany on.
He banned you on. He blocked you on Twitter. I don't know if he'll come on for you.
But I'm saying I don't want him. His wife Mahogany, she could come on.
Burgundy.
I think you knew that. How many people on Twitter have blocked you?
That are members of the legislature? About a half dozen.
I think the guy, what was the pastor who has the college and you trolling them and asking if you could audit with some classes?
So the Liberty University was doing an online advertising thing, and I said, I'm really interested in this. Can I just audit it? And they said, no, you have to pay for it. And I said, I really like to watch, but I don't mind paying.
Blocked.
They didn't get the joke. There's a bunch more responses about me saying, I'm happy to pay, but I like to watch. A whole allusion to Jerry Falwell and the pool boy. And that went on for like 300 or 400 posts before they figured out
you were trolling.
That I wasn't trolling. I was
100% were trolling.
I was making a fair comment about my academic interests at Jerry Falwell
and personal interests.
Okay, so back to the deal. So I thought that was interesting. Pre-suit depositions.
202.
202. They're going to see the judge's discretion, I think, on whether.
The only thing I hate about a 202 deposition is you got to pay a filing fee.
Yeah,
and then who has
lawsuit anyways?
Well, who has standing to oppose that? Because don't you have to put people on notice that you think you might sue?
Yeah.
If you don't know they don't. I think the law is written to where the mother can't be subject to a civil suit, and anyone who aids and abets.
So, what are they going to call United Airlines?
I don't know. So, but there's obviously there's the opposite side of that political debate has some high-powered legal resources, all the big firms, super smart people, but I don't know if anyone has standing to go in there and ask the judge.
Anyone has standing to bring any action.
To oppose it.
I usually speak on these issues.
Yeah,
but to me, this isn't about whether there is actually a lawsuit. It's about that it's already in the news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the point.
Yeah.
Well, everything was sealed, and there's somehow someone decided to alert a friendly reporter as to what was happening.
So there's this nefarious group out there trying to shame these women. I mean, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but
all right, come after you.
Let's see, a couple of little ones. The Santa Fe school shooting, remember that was a horrible event? Yep. There's civil cases against the parents of the shooter, and that's holding up the criminal side, or somehow there's already been a settlement. The
civil side is I didn't see that one. The civil
somehow the criminal is held up because of the mental health of the competency of the shooter.
How's that have to do with the civil side?
Somehow it does have to. They're not intertwined.
Okay.
The criminal guys were saying we're frustrated that we can't go to prosecution because of the question on the guy's competency. We're glad the civil case at least is moving, because usually, as y'all know, criminal case trumps the civil case, right?
It shouldn't, but it does.
Yeah. This one is a little different because it's flip-flopped.
Santa Fe.
Let's see.
It's in the news in Santa Fe.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll close this unless we want to talk about anything else. This was just interesting, and Bill, you alluded to one of your civil rights cases. Dallas County settled 2 claims, one for 100, one for 60, for holding men in jail longer than their sentences. If you
And
read,
they only paid $100,000 for that.
100,000 and 60. It was like a month, or then one was a couple months. But
Man,
they had some kind of software integration issue.
Well, I don't know that you would make it on the inside.
No, you tell me he doesn't already look like a boss on the yard.
He's got a tattoo.
He's got the tat and everything.
That he got, yeah.
Step one, remove the shirt. Step
definitely
two,
would
assert dominance with a mustache.
I
all
would
I have to do is remove the shirt.
Yep, and everybody be like,
Be
nope,
over.
that guy is not to be played.
I think once you tell those guys, hey, I'm friends with Renee Zellweger, they're going to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Tell me about her.
Yeah.
She could dancer.
What's going on?
we got a modern day Clint Black on the yard.
Did you like Jerry Maguire?
I'm all of a sudden realizing the most embarrassing moment of tonight.
You know your nickname on the inside is going to be Bridget Jones.
Yeah. Where's your diary?
So, so they paid, these guys got held.
Sorry.
I brought her up, by the way. I Googled famous people from Katie.
No, these guys are in jail and they're saying, hey, I'm supposed to get out. And they're like, sorry, our computer system says no.
And even when you are in jail and shouldn't be, it's a processing there's a processing a lag.
Did my name come up?
It wasn't in top 10.
Of what?
I Googled the reason when Renee Zellweger came up was because I Googled famous people from Katie.
Oh, okay.
So Clint Black was number one. I actually don't know who was number two. It's still on my phone.
I know who number 7 was.
Gary Joseph. Yeah. Gary Joseph.
Clint Black, Renee Zellweger, Kieran Giovanni,
Andy Dalton.
Sage Northcutt, UFC fighter.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton, Renee O'Connor,
Roger Krieger.
Roger Krieger. He's way down there though. He's behind Daniel Hunter, Kimberly Caldwell, Renee O'Connor, Ty Tabor.
And Milrow, and that hit one.
I need to do better.
Yeah, how are you not on this list? I mean, half these people were contestants on The Bachelorette, I feel like.
Well, not too late for you. Well, it is for
It's too late.
not for Bill. So,
Yeah.
is there a Deer Park most famous top 10?
Andy Pettit, Ron White,
Ron White, the comedian?
Bill Ogden, I think. Now I got my own IMDb page now. Thank you, HBO. Shout out.
Tell us about the suits again.
Yeah, no, we're not going to go there. That was a drunken mistake. Let's see, famous people.
You're just looking for Katie and Deer Park?
I looked for Katie.
Okay, so our mission now is to make Will Adams the 7th most famous person. And you know what? The Dirty Verdict, the Dirty Verdict can publish our own list of top famous Katie people, and definitely
top famous. Like we should do a running list of like where a guest falls in the favoritism.
Yeah.
Like Rebecca Milo, she's up there.
Yeah.
Will Adams,
7.
Number 7.
He's not in the top 10 because he's not even top 10 Katie.
So
and this podcast reaches sea to Shining Sea.
Yeah, there's tons of people.
There's like 4 dozen people that listen to this. Well,
You know, do you think we could get Yvette to spread our?
so when she gets back, when she gets back, she shares a YouTube video every day, every week on
A
Facebook.
way to geofence it around Katy High School.
That's a great idea. Although, never mind.
because I don't think we're on Facebook, and so probably
No, but she shares the YouTube link
on Facebook
every week. Yeah,
Good.
If you're out there listening, start sharing this with your friends. We are on a mission to make Will the 7th most famous person
Out of Katy.
in Katy.
Straight out of Katy.
7's up.
Oh my goodness, the sixth most famous person from Deer Park, Texas. Kyle, can you name him?
The 6th most famous person from Deer Park, Texas.
Briscoe Kane.
Yep, Briscoe Kane is on
He
it.
would be so proud.
My goodness, I'm
All
not.
right, well, I think we've kind of devolved a tad, so I'm going to go ahead and close it. Will Adams, thanks for joining us. The 7s, 70-something.
77th.
We get 77 this interview.
This is
Definitely
70,
catch
yeah.
that. This will come after that, but thanks for joining us. We appreciate you tolerating
Kyle.
some of Kyle's.
And don't miss us 2 weeks from now. We're going to do the 76th episode, which is going to be an homage to the Music Man.
And
76
afterwards, we're going to storm the Capitol.
Follow us on
76 all over again.
Follow us on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, YouTube.
Nailed it. God.
Dirtyverdict.com, Josh? Do we have a webpage? Something like that.
Chaos
Google it.
Theory.
Chaostheory.digital, Amanda War, PR, Summer Law Firm, Como Mediation,
Fair and Ball,
and your suit.
Anybody you want to Tad and Mrs. Adams shouting out?
happy anniversary.
I've already shouted out to Tad. This happy anniversary. I love you, baby. I don't know when this comes out. It's going to be after anniversary. I'm assuming we'll still be married.
You guys going someplace nice?
Well, this is between me
It's a surprise.
and my bride.
Okay.
25 is a big one.
That's great. That's wonderful.
All right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Adams on that. We'll call it a night. Thank you. All right. Will.
Now get home.